Well, Novak Djokovic raising this trophy and taking another bite out of the Wimbledon grass really was the only way that this fortnight really ever seemed it was going to end. And there's not really much else I can say beyond what I said after Roland Garros as far as his legacy is concerned. If you needed any more evidence that right now he is the best of the best, now he has 20 to back up that ultimate number. He is the co-leader in Slams 1 alongside his two great rivals, Federer and Nadal. And, that's just a phenomenal achievement by the guy. If you were watching the channel this far back, I think in my very first video on this channel, actually, that Season Review 2020, I said that I don't think Djokovic or anybody in the big three had a 3-slam season left in them. Well, that didn't take long to age poorly. Dude just turned around and did it within the next 3 slams played, so go figure on that. And of course, by doing so, he now has 3 of the 4 legs up on the calendar Grand Slam. His historic 2021 just hunting these records continues. He already got the most weeks at number 1 earlier this year. Now he gets to 20. Before that, got the double career slam. By the end of the year, he'll have the most year-end number 1 finishes. And now, just for good measure, he has his first ever Chanel slam, one of only 5 guys to do that in Laver, Borg, Federer, Nadal, and now Novak Djokovic adds his name to that list. The numbers all speak for themselves, and perhaps what's most staggering is that we now got 3 guys at the 3-way tie at 20 slams, all who are active and who got to that mark really all within 3 years of each other. That is just absurd. It makes for a truly mouth-watering storyline heading into this North American summer and the US Open, which I do hope to be in attendance for Labor Day weekend this year, fingers crossed on that. But of course, Novak will be a very heavy favorite heading into the final major of the year again, as he should be. Not as much, I think, as he was at Wimbledon, but that's a discussion for another day. It's unreal that we're 10 years on from his historic 2011 season, and now he stands with 3 slams again already, with still 1 more to go. It's really tough to put a cap. It's basically impossible at this point, honestly, on what this guy could go on to achieve still and how his numbers are going to end up when it's all said and done. But now that he's at 20, it's just remarkable to see that in the last decade, the last 10 years since 2011, as I mentioned, that's really the bulk of where he built up his GOAT case. And I said it after Roland Garros, to me, that's when he became the greatest in my eyes. So it's just absurd if we fast forward 10 years ago, and it was at the beginning of 2011, 1 slam to Novak. What was it? I think it was 9 for Rafa and 16? Yeah, still 16 for Federer. At the time, there's absolutely no way that anybody would have predicted that, first of all 3 of them would get to 20, but that Djokovic would make up all this ground and we'd be sitting here in 2021 with him statistically having eclipsed both Federer and Nadal in many significant statistical categories. And the magnitude of 20 slams today might overshadow how impressive it was that he really just did all of that in a span of 10 years. Regardless of how this GOAT race concludes, this guy's career is going to make a hell of a movie. A pretty popular sentiment is that Djokovic hasn't gotten the fan support that you would think for someone of his greatness, and that's probably true. But when we end up looking back on his career, first of all, to spend his upbringing in a war-torn nation of Serbia at that point, and then after that, once he broke through as a teenager in tennis and really established him as a future force, just always being overshadowed by those two in Federer, Nadal, sort of cast off as a third wheel until that 2011 season where he just woke up, something clicked in him, and he came roaring all the way back to now. I mean, in my eyes, I've given what I think that to become the greatest. And while I still do think that Djokovic gets his fair share of crowd support pretty much anywhere other than the US Open and Wimbledon, I do think that when it's all said and done, when he's hung up his racket, there'll be a greater appreciation for that story. You really could not make this up, and you couldn't really script it any better. It's a storybook career, and it's just the stuff of legends. Even as late as 2018, it seemed like that ship might have sailed. It looked like the mental toll and the body combined might not allow him to flourish this way late into his career, but in a flash really, from Wimbledon 2018 to Wimbledon 2021, he has clinched 8 slams in that span and knotted himself up with those other 2 at 20 slams apiece. This slam in particular, it doesn't really stand out to me the same way that the French win a couple weeks ago did, but it being what got him to the 20th major will always be very special, and really just this whole year. I did say in my last video that I don't think that this Djokovic is nearly as good as 2011, 2015 as far as quality, but that's nothing to diminish him. I mean, some of you still probably think that this Djokovic might be the best one ever, and that's fine. We can all have different opinions on that. But just being able to win 3 slams again at age 34, you can't say enough about how impressive that is, regardless of what you think about this current field. The fact that he has himself in great position to pull a calendar Grand Slam at this age and has us believing that he is going to do so, considering he's going to be favored in every tournament he enters for the rest of the year, is just truly unfathomable. And for those reasons, it may be remembered as a more significant year, legacy-wise, than either of those two. And if he were to win all 4, that would be rightfully so. I'm not really in great position to comment much on the match itself as far as the final, because as I mentioned earlier, I didn't get to watch it as I was working. But shout out Matteo Berrettini. I did catch a few glimpses here and there throughout my day, one of which was him breaking back in the first set. Next time I checked the score, he'd won the first set. And after criticizing the next gen in my last video, it's good to see that Berrettini competed very well in this match. He didn't freeze because of the moment. He didn't really freeze when he had the opportunities, as far as I could tell at least. I mean, still got a pretty limited scope of the match with the quality of Wimbledon's highlights. But yeah, I mean, shout out Matteo for keeping a cool head and just competing really well, giving a really good fight, giving a really good showing of himself. He's going to be a force on grass for the years to come. With his backhand and movement being kind of these pretty significant weaknesses, it may be hard to get over the final hurdle. I get the feeling that those 2 aspects would have hurt him big time in this final against this guy. But he might be able to do it someday, and I'm just pleased he gave a good showing for himself in this final. But the year, the day, the week belongs to Novak Djokovic. He still rules atop this sport with an iron fist, and he continues to make history. Congratulations to him as well as his fans. Y'all really just can't get enough of it this year. And now we just gotta get through this mini clay court season that I am not a fan of, in between Wimbledon and the North American hardcourt summer. Some top players will be in action, but the main course, of course, for the rest of this year is that North American hardcourt season with so much on the line, so much history on the line, and I, for one, cannot wait. It was another very enjoyable fortnight at Wimbledon. Fantastic to have that tournament back after the 1-year hiatus, and you now have your 6 times champ there, Novak Djokovic. That will do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Feel free to leave your comments about your thoughts regarding Djokovic's historic 20th win here. And leave a like if you enjoyed. It would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already or are new here. Thank you all for watching. And of course, I will see y'all in the next one.